So let's add shadows to the woman. And I notice we're starting to run out of background space. This will be a great opportunity for us to expand our background a little bit. So I'm going to take our bottom layer. I'm going to go to canvas size and let's go ahead and adjust this. Let's work with pixels. So that's already a really high resolution. That's fine. Let's just increase the width. The width is fine. I think we might need more height. Let's double the height. Maybe increase the width just a little bit. You can never have too much space. So I want to kind of get this background to go around the rest of the area. So one way we can do this is add a new layer. Let's go ahead and grab the eyedropper tool. I'm just going to sample what I think the average color is. Maybe right about there. I'm going to get my paint bucket tool. Let's go ahead and drag that layer below our strawberry. And now we can blend this a little bit. Let's just take the eraser tool, make it really big so it has a nice feathered blend to it. Just kind of blend out that sharp transition. And let's go a little bit smaller with our brush. Not that small. And kind of blend it out a little bit. We can always add more shadows on our own. Perfect. We go ahead and save it, and we could start working on our shadows with her. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing we've done before, new layer. Let's get our paintbrush tool and let's start painting. Let me make sure we have black. So her shadow, she's probably going to have a shadow here. And let's look back. So if we're thinking the light is coming down this way, let's kind of cast her shadow out to the left a little bit and make it just about here. And it's also going to cast on this left side of this thing. And maybe it comes out a little bit here. Let's see what that looks like. Let's do a little here too. Let's bring that layer behind our woman. Okay, and let's make this shadow woman. And reduce the opacity. Let's zoom out so we can get a good idea of what it's going to look like. Let's get our eraser tool. I'm not super happy with it. Let's feather it a little bit. Let's maybe increase the intensity of the color. Let's do another layer, and we're going to make this darker. So let's grab our brush tool. Let's just do some highlights directly underneath, like that. Reduce the opacity. That just adds a little more layering to our shadows, makes them more realistic like we did before. And let me erase a little bit of the shadow by her foot. There we go. So there's some shadow, and we could probably work on the coloring a little bit. All right, so let's do some adjustments to her, just like we did him. Let's go to adjustments. If we reduce the contrast on her a little bit, that might help us match our man. Reduce the brightness. Let's desaturate her a little bit. Let's go to hue and saturation. Just a little saturation. Don't want her too bright. Maybe bring out the orange. I just did a little, the same hue that I did him, which is a -7. And what if I sharpen more? That's too sharp. Let's just keep her as is. You know what? We could even have this be the foreground and this kind of be blurred in the background. So let's give that a try next. So I want to add to the realism as much as possible and add to the scale of this strawberry. So what I want to do is select our strawberry layer and go to my blur filter to see if there's something I can do. So I'm going to go to blur, blur gallery. I'm going to try out iris blur. Let's go ahead and load iris blur. And everything outside of the circle is going to have a little bit of a blur effect to it. So let's make some adjustments to the circle. And what I want to do is I want to keep the focus on the two people. So let's make sure they stay inside the circle and they're sharp. Maybe have it blur just a little on the outside, just like that. So this is all the way blurry. We just want a very subtle blur, maybe right about there. And let's click OK. So this is before, and you'll kind of see the effect it has afterwards. Just focus your eye right there. So it just added a little bit. So there's before. and there's after. So it just kind of adds a little bit more of a dramatic effect to the strawberry. So let's continue to add realism. I'm going to go and grab my burn tool and see if I can't add a little bit of a darker area down here. Because if we have our woman standing there, she might be casting a little bit of shadow or blocking some light, because right now she looks like she's just kind of isolated. So let's darken kind of this area in the strawberry. I'm going to use shadows but also highlights. Kind of that area, just a little bit. Nothing too dramatic. Zoom out so you can see kind of before and kind of after. Adds a little bit more dynamic shading. Let's try it up here in the leaves as well. Let's go switch to shadows. Just adds a little more richness to those colors. Perfect. So let's add a rope to this man so he doesn't look like he's hanging up there without any kind of rope. I'm going to grab our brush tool and I'm going to have a very small point size. I think I'm actually going to make it 7 points and see how that goes. It's a feathered brush. So let's go ahead and make a new layer. And we're just going to draw 2 ropes down coming from the man. Maybe even a third one down here. Perfect. Go ahead and zoom in and see if we can't draw a little bit of a rope here. If I had the Wacom tablet, something I could draw on it, make it a lot easier. That'd be a little rope, and I may need to find a picture of a rope and actually put it there. Let me see what I can do with that. So I decided to go ahead and delete the rope here. I couldn't find a good free rope image to go right here, so I'm just going to leave the 2 ropes there. And we'll just continue to play around with the characters here to make them integrate better with the background. So I think if I reduce the contrast even further on this man, I think it looks a little better. Same thing with the woman. I think she needs to be a little higher brightness, but reduce the contrast just a little bit. There we go. Just continuing to adjust. Let's do shadows and highlights. I don't think we've done that with the girl yet, so let's kind of do some eyeball it here. Okay, and let's adjust the sizing. I think she might need to be just a hair smaller. So let's just make her just a little smaller. Perfect. So let's look at our overall piece and see if we like it. And I'm going to make this into an ad. So I'm going to go ahead and freeze this background, lock it, this bottom layer. I'm going to lock it. Let's go ahead and move our strawberry over so we can have some room for our headline. And I could probably crop it a little bit. So let's crop our photo. Make it kind of a horizontal ad. Perfect. So now it's time to mess around with some typography, and maybe I can integrate the strawberry in the background as one image and do some better shadows. So let's do that.